There is some tips. Modern applications typically track users after authentication by using non-persistent cookies. This forces the session information to be deleted from the client if the current web browser instance is closed. It's important to use non-persistent cookies so the session ID does not remain in the web client cache for long periods of time. In addition, this is why it's important to validate and verify session IDs as covered earlier in this lesson. There are several ways an attacker can perform session hijacking, and the several ways a session token may be compromised. It's predicting session tokens. This is why it's important to use non-predictable tokens, as previously discussed in this section. And session sniffing, this can occur through collecting pockets of unencrypted web sessions on path attacks, formerly known as man-in-the-middle attack. With this type of attack, the attacker sits in the path between the client and the web server. In addition, a browser or an extension or a plugin can be compromised and used to intercept and manipulate web sessions between the user and the web server. These browser-based attacks were previously known as a man-in-the-middle browser attack. If web applications do not validate and they filter out invalid session ID values, they can potentially be used to exploit other web vulnerabilities, such as SQL injection if session IDs are stored on a relational database, or persistent XSS if the session IDs are stored and reflected back afterward by the web application. Here, redirect attacks. Unvalidated redirects and forwards are vulnerabilities that an attacker can use in the attack web application and its clients. The attacker can exploit such vulnerabilities when a web server accepts untrusted input that could cause the web application to redirect the request to a URL contained within untrusted input. The attacker can modify the untrusted URL input and redirect the user to a malicious site to either install malware or steal sensitive information. It's also possible to use unvalidated redirect and forward vulnerabilities to craft a URL that can bypass application access control checks. This in turn allows an attacker to access privileged functions that he or she would normally not be permitted to access. Note, unvalidated redirect and forward attacks often require a little bit of social engineering. Default credentials. A common adage in the security industry is, who do you need hackers if you have default passwords? Many organizations and individuals live in infrastructure devices such as routers, switches, wireless access points, and even firewalls configured with default passwords. As you know, in our university, nearly 2 years, we have one password for all the user credentials like I2 2021 and this symbol. Attackers can easily identify and access systems that use shared default passwords. It's extremely important to always change default manufacturer passwords and restrict network access to critical systems. A lot of manufacturers now require users to change the default passwords during initial setup, but some don't. Attackers can easily obtain default passwords and identify internet-connected target systems. Passwords can be found in product documentation and the compliant lists available on the internet. An example is defaultpassword.com, but there are dozens of other sites that contain default passwords and configurations on the internet. It's easy to identify devices that have default passwords and that are exposed to the internet by using search engines such as Shodan, also here in this URL. Kerberos vulnerabilities. Exploiting wired and wireless networks, we learned that one of the most common attacks against Windows systems is the Kerberos golden ticket attack. An attacker can use such an attack to manipulate Kerberos ticket based on available hashes. The attacker only needs to compromise a vulnerable system and obtain the local user credentials and the password hashes. If the system is connected to a domain, the attacker can identify a Kerberos ticket granting ticket password hash to get the golden ticket. Another weakness in Kerberos implementation is the use of unconstrained Kerberos delegation, a feature that allows an application to reuse the end user credentials to access resources hosted on a different server.